right, guys, welcome to the premiere episode of Breaking Budget. So, Breaking Budget is a new thing we're going to be doing on the channel. Breaking Budget is the place where our goal is to break the format, not the bank. And Breaking Budget, what we're going to do with this is we're going to come up with a lot of different ideas of decks for our eternal formats that are about $100 to $150. That's usually our budget in paper and usually cheaper on Magic Online. Uh, but the biggest thing I would say with Breaking Budget is this is a great way for you to find a cool competitive deck list that you like that can easily translate into Modern's format right now. One of the biggest problems I come by because I love having new players come up to my LGS and they want to get into a format, and I love getting them into Eternal formats because I know they will enjoy them once they do. But it's hard. There's definitely a price gap there. You can't just walk up and say, "Give me Bant Snow Control," because most people don't just have an extra $1,000 or so laying around to drop on a modern deck that they might not even like. So, what we do here at Breaking Budget is we're going to every week we'll post a new video here on the YouTube channel, and we're gonna go over a certain deck and run it through a few games, let you see what it does, how it performs. And today's deck is our green black Titan Field list. Titan Field, I think, is one of the better archetypes to start out on a budget because it builds you into just about every Primeval Titan deck you can play. You can get, some mountains and some scape shifts and dryads and such, and you can play your average Valakut deck. You can play Amulet from a lot of this stuff. Also moves you into just the normal Titan Field strategy, but it's also very good because a lot of the cards are very cheap, and you can use a shell like this and do pretty well at your local F&M or something, especially if you're just testing out the format. But if you love casting big things, you like putting lots of lands on the battlefield, this is a deck for you. So as you can see over here, we're just going to do a quick deck tech. We have 30 lands in our deck. We are a deck that really wants its lands. We want to have a lot of selection in which lands we have. So over here, starting off, we have our most of our normal lands. We have a Bajuka Bog here, exiles the graveyard. 3 Castle Garenbrigs that can tap for 6 mana if you put 2 green into its ability. It also comes in tapped unless you control a forest. 1 Fabled Passage just as a fetch land. We can't afford actual fetches under the budget, but Fabled Passage does a pretty decent job at that. Can also get us some extra Field of the Dead triggers. 3 forests, 2 Golgari Rot Farms. This is the bounce land. When there's a battlefield, you return a land to your hand, and it enters tapped. I know you're thinking, well, that's bad, isn't it? But if you've ever watched Amulet Titan, these lands can be very powerful, especially with lands that have enter the battlefield effects. Say you're playing against Dredge and you use your Bajuka Bog, and then you can play this, pick it up, and then play it again. You can do a lot of damage that way with exiling their graveyard or other things that our lands do, which we'll get into here in a little bit. 1 Nurturing Peat land, pain land that draws cards. It's the Canopy land, and Overgrown Tomb, just our basic shock. We could not afford 2 under the budget, but great land to have there. 3 Snow-Covered Forest, 1 Snow-Covered Swamp, and 1 normal swamp, and then 1 Woodland Cemetery, just the buddy land for swamps and forest. A lot of you might wonder, why are we playing different forests and swamps? Does that even matter? Did he just kind of throw lands in the deck? Yes, it matters because of Field of the Dead, which is our main card in the deck. Field of the Dead is a land that says whenever it or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you have 7 or more lands with different names, you make a 2/2 black zombie. Forest and Snow-Covered Forest are different names. So if you have a forest and a snow-covered forest out and 5 other lands, every land drop you make with a Field of the Dead out will create a 2/2 zombie. Obviously, we have a lot of different effects that give us land drops. Sometimes even 2 land drops, like in our top end that we'll get to. So we can make a lot of zombies very fast and flood the board. Blast Zone. This section right here is mainly our utility lands. Blast Zone, basically Chalice, slower Chalice, or not Chalice of the Void, sorry, engineered explosives on a land. Great at helping us out in some aggressive matchups or to get rid of some kind of pesky permanent. 2 Field of the Deads, because it is the key card in our deck. A Field of Ruin that can destroy our opponent's lands. Arch of Araska, if we have 10 or more permanents, we can pay 5 and tap it and draw a card. Good to help us grind out in the later games once we have the City's Blessing. A Ghost Quarter that can also attack lands. These are good against Tron or other decks where their lands matter. Radiant Fountain to gain some life. Westvale Abbey as a way to turn our random dopey creatures that we have and some of our zombies into a very, very tough to answer threat. Also, this threat is Flying, Lifelink, Indestructible, and Haste. So, Lifelink can be very important here. Also, this is kind of a sneaky play. You can activate it whenever your opponent's attacking, use it to block, and then untap and use it to attack, gain 18 life really quick, and sometimes put a game out of reach. And then we have a little deserts package because we are playing Hour of Promise. Ifnir Deadlands is a desert. You can sacrifice a desert, put 2/1/1 counter or -1/-1 counters on target creature and opponent controls. You can only do this at sorcery speed, and it's 4 mana, but does give us a little bit of utility with that. Hash Up Oasis gives one of our creatures +3/+3 as long as we pay 3 and sacrifice a desert. And then we have 2 of our basic cycling deserts here, one that's black and one that is green. So going through our actual spells, we have 4 Arboreal Grazers, just put a 0/3 that puts a land into play tapped when it ETBs. 4 Secura Tribe Elders that can help ramp us there. 4 Explorers that are going to draw us a card and put an extra land on the battlefield. 2 Eliminates. This is a new card that destroys target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 3 or less. This is very important because of Ashiok being in the format, but also it answers most of what's going on in Modern for important creatures. So it's nice to have a little bit of removal in the main deck that also hits annoying planeswalkers. 1 Tireless Tracker is a great way to help grind out games. 4 Search for Tomorrows, great turn 1 play that we can suspend to go get us a basic onto the battlefield untapped. We can also use this just for a land drop later in the game for 3 mana. 4 Fierce Impasse. This is another new M21 card that was made modern legal. We can search our library for a creature card with CMC 6 or greater, reveal it, and put it into our hand. So this is like our Summoner's Pact. Summoner's Pact is a really cool card and does a lot for these decks, but Fierce Empath is the best budget alternative we can find for that. So Fierce Empath, go get our Primeval Titan. And then we have the top end. This is where our deck is the most powerful. Hour of Promise, search our library for up to 2 land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, shuffle our library. Then if we have 3 or more deserts, we can create 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So a lot of times we're going to want to get Field of the Dead, but there are some situations where getting deserts could potentially matter. Say we already have our Field of the Deads out and we need to make as many zombies as possible. Instead of just getting random lands that might not help us as much, we can go get deserts. And if we already have 1 desert out and we get 2 more, now we get the triggers from the Field of the Dead, but we also get the zombies from Hour of Promise, so that can be relevant. It can also help us to make zombies if somebody were to get rid of our Field of the Dead by any chance. And then lastly, for Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan is a house in Modern. 6/6 Trampler for 6 ETBs and gets us 2 lands. Also does this when it attacks. So just an Hour of Promise on a stick with Trample. Very good. Can go get our Field of the Deads. Can go get our other lands that might matter. and can really do a lot of damage pretty quick and create a really quick board or a really large board with Field of the Dead. And then lastly, our sideboard, we have 4 Duresses for the combo matchups. 2 Fatal Push, 2 Abrupt Decay as some extra removal. Abrupt Decay also helps us against some pesky permanents. Uh, 2 Beast Within to answer pesky permanents as well. Also destroys lands against things like Tron. Beast Within is very versatile. Another Tireless Tracker for our grinding matchups. 2 different extraction effects, a Memoricide and a Cranial Extraction, where we choose a non-land card name, search our opponent's graveyard, hand, or library for any of those cards and exile them. So ways we can take out combo or another deck that might have a certain card that we really can't deal with. And then 2 Cry of the Carnarium, just as a -2/-2 to all creatures. Really good against the aggressive decks to buy some time. So we're going to go ahead and run this through. And let's see how we can do here. All right, and we are here for game 1 here. So this hand would be pretty decent. I could think about keeping it if it wasn't for the fact that we are kind of low on lands, and we don't really do anything until turn 2 or turn 3. So I think we're going to have to ship this one. This hand is not great, but I think it is okay. Because if we find some ways to get these lands on the battlefield, we're fine. So I think we're going to keep this. I don't want to go to 5 here. Probably just going to pitch our castle. We are on the draw here. Obviously, our hand is not great. Nice to see that we do not get discarded there. Alright, so there's a rot farm. We're just going to lead on forest here so that we can play our woodland cemetery and our castle, and that all of that works. Next turn we will be playing Explorer. Snow-covered mountain. Opponent also not doing too much here, so that's nice. Not off to a super fast start, giving us some time to set up. Okay, another Explorer. So let's play this Explorer. Draw a card. Put another land into play. So I think here I want to protect this rot farm in case they do have some kind of way to blow up our lands. So I think we're just going to play a snow-covered forest here and pass the turn. And this should set us up for a turn 4 Primeval Titan. Graven Cairns. Don't see this card a lot. Ball Lightning. Okay. So opponent getting in. Opponent going to get in for 6 here. That's kind of brutal. So is this just like a Ball Lightning tribal deck? Maybe a Lightning Skelemental also in their hand. Okay. Alright, so there's a Fierce Empath. But I think we're just on the Explore train here. Alright, so there's a Field of the Dead. And I think I'm interested in casting this Fierce Empath here. And we can go get ourselves another Titan. But Fierce Empath also can block if they do have another Hasty Threat that's maybe not a Ball Lightning. Obviously, you know, the 1 damage could possibly matter. And yes, but getting that second Titan really shores up our plan. We'll get to play Field of the Dead next turn. And then go get any 2 lands, probably Let's see, we'll have 5, 6 different names next turn, so we can get any land and our second Field of the Dead and go very wide. So whenever this attacks, choose target elemental card in your graveyard with toughness less than, or return that card to the battlefield tapped and attacking sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So that is an issue. So this is the elemental reanimate, kind of tribal deck. Alright, so here we are going to block with Fierce Empath. It doesn't really matter where we block, we're only preventing 1 damage. So we might as well just block here. So we go to 8. Alright, now we need to make a very large board of zombies to make sure we don't get too whooped up. Alright, so there is a Ghost Quarter. I don't think that matters, so we're still going to play Field of the Dead. Let's activate Castle. Green, 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 colorless. So we have 6 mana. And let's play our Primeval Titan. So we have 6 different lands. So I think we're going to get our Field of the Dead. And Bajuka Bog. Oh, should have done this. Always yield to Field of the Dead triggers. So we're going to make 4 zombies here. Exile our opponent's graveyard and pass the turn. Get to follow this up with a Titan next turn. And opponent concedes. Just cannot beat the zombie horde. Alright, so playing against this deck, we probably are going to want some of our removal. Fatal Push seems fine. Cry doesn't seem great because most of their stuff's going to die before we do anything with it. I think we just want to Abrupt Decays. Can probably go down a Tireless Tracker because I don't think we're going to need to grind too hard in this game. Steve isn't the greatest because it does not block very well in this matchup. So we might trim a Steve and then we're going to trim 2 Steves and a Search for Tomorrow. And try. Actually, we can probably trim a land here. It's probably fine. I think it'd be this Ghost Quarter because it's going to do about nothing. And we can actually keep in our Search for Tomorrow. Give us more turn 1 plays. It's very common in decks like this to be able to, when you're playing so many lands, to be able to trim 1. And, I mean, this is fine here. We obviously need to find some other stuff to do, but we have a fairly well set up game plan. Just kind of comes down to if we can find a Titan or an Hour or a Field of the Dead. This one's close. I don't know if it's good enough. I think we're gonna ship this one because we don't have a turn one green source. And this hand's actually much better. So I think we're gonna keep this one and put the fatal push on the bottom. Fatal push is harder for us to trigger, and most of the stuff that we're going to be pushing, anything we push, we could also eliminate most likely, and it's harder for us to trigger in this version of the deck because we do not have any. We only have one fetch land. Opponent on marsh flats and pass. Turn one green source would be nice here. Never lucky. All right. So next turn we can grazer and play some things. Agonizing remorse. So this is just Thoughtseize, pretty much. Either way, we're going to be able to play one of our green one drop or one mana spells here and get some value on the board. They probably take eliminate here. And they do. All right. And that's good for us. I actually think Grazer is very important here. All right, Forest there was actually a very nice draw. So let's play Arboreal Grazer. Put our Rot Farm into play. We're going to bounce back our castle. Play Snow-Covered Forest. And suspend Search for Tomorrow. So Grazer a pretty good blocker here in the face of one of their elementals. Which they cannot ball lightning us. Okay, now they can. I was about to say, they did not have triple red at the beginning. So this is actually a lightning elemental. So this is probably the worst case scenario for us. Let's just save ourselves as much damage as we can. And now we will have to discard 2 cards. I think it's going to be Rot Farm and the Desert so that we can play Castle. Castle lets us play a decent amount of stuff if we can draw lands. If we can draw any one land, which we actually already have. So like if we draw a Titan in the next few turns, so let's play Castle here. But now, if we draw a Titan, we can cast it, which is really all we need to do is just draw a Titan or an hour. We can also cast next turn as long as we don't get this castle discarded off of another Lightning Skelemental. And no threat here from opponent. That's good for us. And I think we're just going to get Snow-Covered Swamp here. And Blast Zone. Okay. So let's just play Blast Zone here. A lightning bolt us. So blast zone on 2 or 3 is both of those are fine. I think I'm more afraid of something like this or the Thunderkin Awakener. So we're gonna put 1 charge counter on our blast zone. Let's go ahead and pop blast zone here and get rid of this young Pyromancer before they start making any tokens. We still are pretty loose to something like Thunderkin Awakener. But opponent seems to be drawing lands, which is also all we're doing. Granted, we have a whole lot more in our deck. Fierce Empath. Alright, there's a Steve. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. We have 7 mana here. Unearth. Alright, that's unfortunate for us. So they're going to get in for some damages here. No point in blocking because we want to sacrifice our Tribe Scout to get another land out of our deck. The 1 damage over a land is not that great. Glad we could get our hand empty before that happened. Let's go ahead and get a normal swamp here. And now we are just in the business of drawing any of our relevant things. Alright. So 4. Tap this. We should have enough mana here to... Yep, that casts Titan. So let's play Fierce Empath. I do want to use Fierce Empath's ability, get a Primeval Titan. And then play Primeval Titan. So we have 6 different lands here. So we can actually just go get double Field of the Dead. And I think that is correct. And we got there. Nice. All right. See you for game 2. All right. Game 2 on the play. Or sorry, on the draw. This hand looks pretty solid. We definitely need to draw some lands, but, you know, our deck is pretty good at doing that. So I think we're going to keep, especially on the draw. So let's see what we can do here. Opponent leads on Wooded Foothills. Interesting. So let's go Arboreal Grazer. And I think we're going to go into if near dead lands here. I want to save the Bajuka Bog there. Normally I would play the Bajuka Bog, but since we do not know what our opponent is on, I think I'm going to save it in case they are on Dredge. They get a Savai Triumph. This is the Mardu Triumph. Okay. Mardu. Opponent plays a Swamp. Playing against all the black-red decks today. And a young Pyromancer. Alright, we definitely want to deal with this soon. Because it definitely will start to do some damages. Alright, so let's play a... We can play Bajuka Bog here. And hit our opponent. And then we are going to play Sakura Tri-Builder, which should be able to get us a forest, and then next turn we can play our castle and play a Titan. We're going to get a normal forest, obviously, for Field of the Dead reasons, and we should be able to get Field of the Dead and one other land. This is turn 3 Primeval Titan, folks. Doubt opponent attacks here. No reason to. They missed their land drop. Okay, so let's go ahead and sack Steve. Get a normal forest. Play castle. Play Primeval Titan. Go get Field of the Dead and what else would we like to get here? Can get Field of the Dead and I think we might want to get Bounce Land here. If we get the Bounce Land, we can bounce back Bajuka Bog. Or we can get a land that produces black. So we might just get our Overgrown Tomb here. Or we can get Westvale Abbey. I don't feel like Westvale Abbey matters right now that much, so let's actually just get... Let's get Desert of the Glorified. Make a couple zombies. And we will pass our turn. We are very far ahead. As you can see, it's turn 3. Our opponent has 2 lands and a young Pyromancer. We have 7 lands and 10 power and an 0-3 on board. Revitalize. They gain 3 life and draw a card. Okay. This is also going to make a Revitalize. That's interesting. So we're going to get a big attack next turn. We will get the Titan again next turn as well. It shows you how good Castle is. Castle is such a good card that's allowed us to have an extra, basically an extra mana when we needed it the last turn or two. Dragon Skull Summit. Alright, so let's play. We have to play a snow-covered forest here. Get our trigger off Fill the Dead. I don't know what opponent's thinking about here, but we will see. Opponent, are you there? That opponent did not want to play with us. They just disconnected and never came back. So it's kind of sad, but we'll take it. On to game 3. All right, and we're back for game 3. This hand is decent at best. We are on the draw, so I think we're gonna try and hope we find our third land for. But we have scouts here. We have 2 lands, so we will get to our promise if we find a land. So I think we're gonna keep it, even though it's a risky keep. All right. Opponent leads on Polluted Delta. Watery Graves. Death Shadow? Hedron Crab. Oh no. This is the worst possible matchup. Guys, I'm sorry. This. Oh no. No. So let's play our Boreal Grazer. And put Field of Ruin into play. Kind of hoping they're on the graveyard strategy, but we might be able to cheese this game out with our promise. If they attack our Titans, but this is going to be pretty bad. Most likely. Hedron Crab is never good for us. Any kind of... Okay, so this is either Sultai Milled. Who are they targeting? They're targeting themselves. Alright, this is the... Alright, this is the aggro deck. The Vengevine aggro fun stuff. So we might be able to put up a little bit of a fight against it. Not great mills here. Stitcher Supplier. Gonna mill 3 more. Still not great mills. They've milled a lot of their cards that mill them. Alright. There's your Primeval Titan. So let's play our Steve. No attacks here. Steve's going to go get us another land, likely a green source. And then we can cast Hour of Promise. If we draw, assuming we draw a land. If not, we're just going to cast another Steve. Alright, an opponent doesn't do anything there. Let's get a normal forest. Alright, that's not the land we were looking for. So let's... play Steve. Play Rot Farm. Bounce back to Swamp. Pass the turn. Steve can go get our normal Swamp following this. So they're still targeting themselves here. There's a Narcomoeba. Ooh, and an Uro. They have Uro as well. That's pretty hot. Uro, I guess, triggers Silver Smoke Ghoul. That's cool. And Creeping Chill. So they chill us. Narcomoeba comes back. Doesn't bring anything with it. And then they're going to hard cast a Prized Amalgam. And go ahead and sack our Steve. Get our other Swamp. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 mana already here. So we can go get... we can play our land and go get double Field of the Dead. Which seems like the best line here. Actually, what am I talking about? We're going to get Bajuka Bog and Field of the Dead. Oh. Exile our opponent's graveyard. Make some zombies of our own. And pass the turn. Alright, looking pretty good here. We set them back a lot with that. Stitcher Supply, going to mill them for 3. But getting that Uro out of there is good. Garmag Gangler, nice to not to have to deal with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have enough mana to empath. Oh, we should have blocked with our Grazer. We missed that. That's fine. So we can empath, or we could tracker into Hour of Promise. So I think empath into another Titan is best. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8 different lands. So we can get Field of the Dead and Golgari Rot Farm. And bounce back Bajuka Bog. Or we can get one of our random deserts. think we're going to get one of our random deserts here. Make lots of zombies. And we're going to attack for 10 here. Primeval Titan triggers. Let's get Blast Zone and Radiant Fountain. Don't want to reveal the Westville Abbey tech yet because we're so far ahead. So we make all the zombies, gain 2 life with Radiant Fountain. So yeah, they're going to trade here. And trade here. They're going to mill themselves a lot. We still get to get in for 4 damage. There's a Vengevine and a Gravecrawler. Alright, so they got a lot of Silver Smoke Ghouls there. Hedron Crab with the mills. Double Creeping Chills, pretty rough there. Play Gravecrawler. Play another Gravecrawler from the yard, I'm assuming. Trigger Vengevine. Trigger Prized Amalgam. No attacks. And return all the silver smoke ghouls tapped, as well as the prized amalgam. Alright, so we drew another Titan here. So if we blow up our blast zone, they have 2 blockers. And we're attacking for 18 plus 6. So I think this is just enough as is. So let's use blast zone. Crack it. Blow up all the 1-drops. Bye-bye grave crawlers and hedron crabs. Move to combat. And we got there. All right. So moving into the sideboard, I think Cry of the Carnarium is probably a pretty good card here because it does exile, so it will hit the Silver Smoke Ghouls and some of their other creatures. Duress, I don't care about. I don't really care about Beast Within or Tracker. I think we want Fatal Push to answer early Hedron Crabs. And that's probably about it. We just kind of have to get on the board is our biggest thing. Getting on the board early. It's not the matchup for Tireless Tracker. And we can probably skimp on a couple Explorers. Actually, I'd rather keep 1 Explorer and ditch a land that we're not going to use, like a Ghost Quarter. And let's try this. All right, game 2 of match 3. We're currently 2-0. Let's see what we can do here against some Sultai Vengevine. Sultai Crabvine. Shenanigans. I mean, this is a good hand. We have a turn, I believe it's a turn 3 hour. So yeah, let's try this. We have some blockers too. Crap. Thoughtseize. So they're probably going to take our hour here. Big sad. That's not very nice. Another Arboreal Grazer. So let's play Fabled Passage. Fabled Passage does not get our basic untapped until we have 4 more lands. So we will have to wait a turn here. But next turn we can play our castle untapped and play 2 Grazers, put all our lands on the battlefield, and have a ton of mana. Let's fetch here and get Snow-Covered Forest. So let's play Castle. Play a Grazer. Put Field of the Dead in play. Play a Grazer. Play Rot Farm in play. Bounce back our Snow-Covered Forest. We have Titan mana for turn 3. We just have to draw one. We have mana for Hour. We have and opponent concedes pretty quick on that one. I don't know what they had. We were going to draw into some Steve shenanigans and eliminate. And there's a natural bog. So natural Bajuka bog would have been pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We still aren't triggering field at that point. Or I guess we are with the Steve. So if we untap here, we would have played, because we had the Snow-Covered Forest. So we play the Snow-Covered Forest, play Grazer, play Rot Farm, bounce back the Forest, play our Sakura Tribe Elder, go get a Swamp. And then we would have drawn Overgrown Tomb. So yeah, we probably would have been fine here, but pretty early concession from our opponent. We'll see you in game 4. Alright, back in game 4. Breaking budget. Playing some green-black Titanfield. This hand, if you cannot tell, is awful. So we're going to mulligan. We have no lands. This hand's not bad here, actually. So I think we're going to keep it. And I think we're going to pitch a Grazer. Because Sakura Tribe Elder actually gets us another land. So let's play Forest, Grazer, put Rot Farm into play, and bounce back our Forest. Alright, pretty good start there. Already off to the races. Blackleaf Cliffs. Thoughtseize. Definitely taking our Primeval Titan here. Most likely, there could be an argument made for the taking the Elder, but we have 5 mana right here with the Elder. Alright, so let's play our Snow-Covered Forest, because there's no reason not to. Play Steve. And send a message. Get in there with Arboreal Grazer. Opponent said, got me. Fear the Sloth. Alright, so end step, let's sack this. We're going to get snow-covered swamp here. And play Radiant Fountain. Nothing really doing here, so we're just going to pass. But we've put ourselves in pretty good position, which is what you'll do a lot of times when playing this deck, is you put yourself in position to where if you draw a Titan, you can cast it, and it usually is going to put you in a very good position. Seasoned Pyromancer. So opponent looks like they're on some kind of Mardu, maybe Pyromancer deck, or which is looks like what they're doing. All right, Tracker is actually excellent here. So let's play Tireless Tracker, play Bajuka Bog, make a clue and exile our opponent's graveyard, and then pass. Tracker very good here, especially if we can have it survive. Young Pyromancer. Have Lightning Bolt targeting the Tracker. Let's go ahead and draw our card. But that will kill the Tracker, sadly. Opponent going very wide here. Block the biggest threat. Take 2. Alright, so let's start this off with an Explore. Okay, play a Castle. Let's explore again. Play a Forest. Play a Snow-Covered Forest. Pass the turn. Need to draw one of our double search effects. Taking 5 here. So Titan off the top, Hour off the top, anything like that would be great. Fable Passage is not one of those. Wouldn't even mind. Field of the Dead off the top. Kaya. 2 cards, you gain 2 life, only one creature is exiled this way. So they're going to exile our Grazer so they can get the beats in. All of our lands are swamps now. Let's go ahead and sacrifice Fabled Passage, get our normal swamp. Titan. Explore. Okay, that's a redraw. Grazer. Okay. Just putting this in here as a chump blocker or a way for them to have to take down their Kaya. If they have a bolt here, we're just dead. 7. Another Kaya. Alright, so they're going to gain a little bit of life. Get in at us for 7. Titan or... Ahaha! That was a draw. That was a draw, my friends. So here we actually have to get Field of the Dead. So if we get Field of the Dead, we have 4 blockers. So we actually have to get Field of the Dead and Radiant Fountain, which we already have, so we can't get that unless we get we can get Bounce Land. And then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we get Radiant, or we get Field of Ruin, Bounce Land, Bounce Back, Radiant Fountain, play it again. That is the line. So let's get Rot Farm and Field of the Dead. And play Radiant Fountain again. Alright, we're set up here to try and make a comeback. Exile a zombie. They do not have great attacks here. Get in for 2. Wow. Gonna lose to the smallpox. That one was brutal. We're gonna draw our other Field of the Dead off the top too. So we would have been able to probably pretty solidly taken over that game. Alright, so Fatal Push, Cry. I don't think we have to worry about Blood Moon out of them. I think we want Decay as well, though. We just want removal for what they're going to be bringing in. Tireless Tracker is also pretty good here. We can shave on a couple Explorers. Actually, Explorer's actually pretty good in this kind of matchup. I don't know if I want the Decays or not. Eliminate seems to do about the same thing. Fatal Push seems worse. Cry seems good. I want all my empaths for sure. I think Explorers is still our worst card. Let's go cut the Ghost Quarter. So this is actually the correct way to do this. Go to Explore because we don't know if we're going to have lands in hand. That's the reason. Like, Explorer's not guaranteed acceleration. It's nice that it draws a card right there. It almost saved us. Alright, what would we like to play first? Yes, we will keep this hand for sure. So let's keep it. Let's pay 1 life. Make it green. Grazer. Rot Farm. Bounce this back. Right, off to a good start here. Obviously need to avoid getting thought seized. a primeval titan, which is probably what's about to happen here. Oh, lightning bolt on the grazer. Okay. Lightning bolt on grazer is fine. So I think I just want to take the one and suspend search for tomorrow. And it should come down in a couple turns when it matters. Not going to cycle this Desert of the Glorified. So now I will cycle the Desert of the Glorified. Because with the Steve and the search, we will have Titan mana. And they actually concede there to that. I don't know why. So we would sacrifice our Steve here, get an extra land. And then have it be the one that it's probably going to be snow covered forest. Sacrifice our Hash Up Oasis, and then hope we draw a land off the top, which we wouldn't know because we were searching, but I think we want to run that back. Lots of opponents conceding pretty early today, but is what it is. You know, we are playing our $150-ish budget deck and doing very well. So, you know, deck has felt good. It's felt pretty consistent for what we want it to do. So, this is awesome. Alright, this hand seems too land light to keep, even though it does have some good stuff in it. So I think we have to ship it for something that has more lands in it. This obviously is not the greatest, but I think we keep it. I obviously need to find some interaction, but let's bottom that Primeval Titan. Because Fierce Sympath is technically another Primeval Titan that we can play on our turn 3, so we don't want to just have two 6/6 Titans, so that, like, the fact of this being a blocker could be good enough to help us get there. Them having Smallpox is quite unfortunate, so they'll take our Fierce Sympath here. Probably just going to play a castle tapped. Set up in case we draw a Steve or something like that. We have the mana to cast our Titan. We just have to make it there. Young Pyromancer. Wouldn't mind some removal here. Alright, that's not a bad draw, actually. So let's play Grazer. Put Castle into play. Put Radiant Fountain into play. So we need one more green source. for castle so that we can play a Titan on our turn 4. Ransack the lab. Lightning bolt our grazer. That's totally fine. Opponent going on the aggro plan. We take 2. Back down to 20. It is a race. Alright, that is not a green source. So let's go ahead and Bajuka Bog, get rid of this Seasoned Pyromancer in case they have an Unearth or something like that, and pass the turn. Alright, so untapped green source, we get the Titan. If not, alright, never mind, now we don't. Gaming Sphere shuts off our Castle Garion Briggs from making 6 mana because they cannot make 2 or more mana. This is not bad. Let's play Field of the Dead, and then let's play our Steve. And here, because we already have the land 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well, I will gladly trade the Steve with the Pyromancer if they attack with it. Ashiok is brutal there. Was not expecting Ashiok. Opponent is a Miller. So for those of you who play this, never mill with Ashiok. It's not worth it. Seems like a very bad attack. So we're just going to cast our Titan here. We don't get the search, but I think that's fine. We just want to get rid of this Ashiok. They're going to have a removal spell for our Titan anyway. Smallpox. That one's brutal. And we can sack Radiant Fountain, I guess. Mills our Westval Abbey. Probably should have just ditched the castle there, but I wanted it in case I drew another Titan later in the game. Kaya. Let's see, what opponent's done here is that they've really made it a lot easier on us to kill this Ashiok. Sadly, we haven't been able to punish them for it, but still. So Kaya, it's said Kaya's actually a pretty big threat here. The second Damning Sphere seems really dumb to play out. I think they... Alright. So Kaya will kill us if it ults. So we actually have, sadly, have to take out the Kaya. And they've made it fairly easy as is to take out the Ashiok. If we draw two different named lands other than the ones we have, we can take out the Ashiok. Primeval Titan can't search, but we can kill the Ashiok with it. As long as we can fade a removal spell right here this turn. And opponent concedes to that. So we attack here and kill the Ashiok. We're going to draw a Fabled Passage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we probably just hold Fabled Passage. Then the next turn we would draw Fierce Empath. Use Fierce Empath, go get Titan, because I believe we would still we've only used 2 of our Primeval Titans. Yeah, so would have been able to win that game. Opponent said cool. Opponent's salting off a little bit in the chat there. We'll come back. We'll see you for game 4. All right, guys. Apologize for that. I said game 4. We are on to game 5. Looking for the 5-0 with our green-black Titanfield budget deck. $150 of absolute terror for our opponents, and I think we're going to keep this hand. It seems pretty good. We have Hour, we have Grazer to accelerate and to scout, so I think we're down to keep this one. And we even have an eliminate to get some value there. So let's play Grazer here. We have to show him the Westvale Abbey tech, which I've kind of been hiding. Can we finally cast an Hour of Promise for value? We've just been killing it with Titan, so we haven't needed Hour of Promise yet, but opponent getting that tapped Steam Vents there. Okay, opponent not doing much. Alright, so we can play Steve here. Play the Rot Farm. And bounce back Westvale Abbey. 3, 4, 5. So we have Hour of Promise mana for next turn. We have to send a message. Getting in with our favorite sloth friend. Alright, looks like we have a control deck here. Would love to see them tap out. Probably not going to cast Hour of Promise into 2 open mana. But I think we can I think we're just fine to make land drops. I'm not even going to sack Steve here. I'm just going to use it to attack. Let's play Westvale Abbey. Really just kind of holding off for a turn where our opponent might tap out for something. Because as soon as they tap out, we can resolve Hour of Promise and this game's over. This is the matchup where a card, like a more expensive card like Cavern of Souls, is very important for the deck. But definitely not something that you absolutely have to have. Attack with a scout. Because we can just get our beats in here and kind of do our thing. Opponent thinking about this one. They're going to counter our grazer. Seems very loose. God, I wish we could punish them for that. Looks like a teamer deck, obviously on a budget because they're playing Frontier Bivouac and not Triomes, which is weird because Triomes aren't that expensive. Hash up Oasis. So I think I'm in the business of cycling this desert on their end step if they still don't do anything. Like, we win long games here, I think, because if we just, like, naturally draw our Field of the Dead, it's just good. The main phase fetch there makes me feel like they have something. So I think next turn's going to be the turn. I think we might wait till, yeah, we're going to wait till we have enough mana to, okay, so they're actually going to commit to killing this Steve. Which is nice. We just 2-for-1 them there. We already have a snow-covered forest. Let's just get our snow-covered swamp so that we can have a second black. Green, green, green this. Yeah, so next turn we can actually fire off Fierce Empath with mana up to Titan and try and force them to counter the Fierce Empath. No clue what opponent's doing here. Alright, cool. Fabled Passage. Let's go Snow-Covered Forest. Tap these and Westfell Abbey. Play Fierce Empath. I would think this would get a counterspell out of them. Let's go get Primeval Titan. So I think we just jam here. Pays one for this is a weird card. Pays one for each card in your graveyard. That's fine. Cannot pay four, so. But we can just win on this Fierce Empath or force them to answer that, which is nice. Now we're just kind of, our goal is to get the cards out of their hand. Thing in the Ice, alright. Thing in the Ice is quite good against us. Let's go ahead and sack our Fabled Passage. We're going to get our other Swamp. Yeah. So let's go black. Let's eliminate Thing in the Ice. Okay. So they have 1 mana up. Let's play Hour of Promise here. We're going to get double Field of the Dead because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so we're good. Get double field, and then we're going to pump our Blast Zone up to 2. On their instep. It's going to be pretty difficult for them to flip this thing here. Because they only have 2 cards in hand. No use in attacking with the Empath, so just block. And we're not super mad if they do flip the thing, because we have Field of the Dead, so we're like, this is how we win the game anyway. It's just we have Field of the Dead, we make land drops. Disciple of the Ring. Okay, I haven't seen this card in a while. Exile target insert sorcery card from a graveyard, your choice. Do this, tap target creature, untap target creature. Sure. Disciple of the Ring could get, a little annoying, but counter target non-creature spells. Okay. So opponent owns some spiciness from Bog. Okay, so let's 1, 2, 3, 4. This 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So this will blow up Thing in the Ice. Turn target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Okay. So now they've tapped out. So we can get our Titan down. Fierce Empath, gonna search for Primeval Titan. Castle, again showing how good it is. Primeval Titan. Yes, we want to use Primeval Titan's ability. Uh, That's just what do we want here? I think Bajuka Bog and Arch of Araska are probably the two best ones here. Get Arch so that we can start drawing some cards. Bog so that we can stop their Disciple of the Ring from doing anything. We're also going to make a ton of zombies. And we're going to get in there. Even if they block here and we lose a zombie, we're getting them for 7. It's going to put them to 8. And we have all the lethal in the world on the back side of this. Next turn, we also can activate our Hashep Oasis and pump one of our creatures. And sweet, all right, we got there. And now we get to bring in the other part of our deck that we didn't get to see earlier, which is the Let's Beat control part. So bring in Duress and Tireless Tracker. So 4 Duresses and Tireless Tracker. I like Abrupt Decay over something like Fatal Push here. I think I still want to eliminate just in case they have Ashiok, but I'm not going to bring in the Beast Withins yet because I don't know. A couple Explorers we can cut. Just cut all the Explorers. And then 1 hour and 2 searches. Search and Ghost Quarter. It's probably the one we need the least here. Maybe Radiant Fountain. But Ghost Quarter doesn't seem like it's going to be that important in this matchup. Ghost Quarter's mainly in the deck for the ability to hit Tron lands or against other Titan decks where their land might matter. Okay, this hand seems pretty sweet. We have turn 1 Search and a turn 2 Steve into Tireless Tracker or Fierce Empath, depending on what we feel like we need to do. Opponent leads on Mount. I love this art. This art's so nice. Spin, search for tomorrow. Alright, so there's a Rot Farm. We're going to go with Steve here. Next turn we'll have 5 mana. So I think next turn is probably going to be the turn we go Tireless Tracker. actually firing off a bolt here. So feels like we have plenty of green sources, so let's just get our snow-covered swamp. We can have our search for tomorrow get a forest, a snow-covered forest. Wave break hippo camp. Interesting. All right, so now we're going to be priced into playing the peatland here. Let's cast search for tomorrow, get snow-covered forest. We drew Westville Abbey. Let's play tracker. We get two. We have two lands that we can. We only have one land we can play here. Sorry. Let's just go ahead and decay this. Keep our opponent from drawing too many cards. We have our clue already. Next turn, we can play Fierce Empath and Rot Farm. We can even Field of Ruin our opponent now. Bounce the Field of Ruin back. Float mana here. Play Fierce Empath. Opponent does not seem to have any counter spells. That or they're just really holding off. Let's get in with Tireless Tracker. We could have played around a bolt here by not playing the Empath, but I think Tireless Tracker's already kind of done its job. It's drawn its cards. We're ahead right now. Cryptic. I'm going to bounce this to our hands. Sure. I'm totally fine with that. We can't play any more lands. So yeah, let's just pass. We can crack a clue on their end step. Tyler Striker really showing how good it is whenever it can stick on the battlefield for a land drop or two. right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana here. And we can play a 7th land. So I think we just go tracker again. Only reason I'm not drumming Primeval Titan is because they just have open mana. There's no reason to, really. So counter it unless we pay 4. Okay, we cannot pay 4. So let's just play Field of Ruin. Field our opponent. Get our normal swamp. We're just going to get in with Fierce Empath. But yeah, playing the tracker there and, knowing that we have another Primeval Titan, or we have a Primeval Titan and another Primeval Titan lined up to go after it is nice. We just kind of want to progress our mana here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. Sure. 2 mana, draw a card. Opponent's deck is definitely also budget, like ours, so even though they do have Steam Vents, they have like some not very good spells. Opponent's going to tap out for Jace Memory Adept. Okay, so 0S and mill 10. It's likely what they're going to do here. We're just going to attack this with, oh, they plus? Gross. Seems bad. So now here's our window. That's an even better draw. So now we get to make a zombie. Titan that they knew we had. Yes. Bog them and get art. And I guess we can get other Field of the Dead. So make 4 more zombies. Our board is huge. Exile their graveyard. Tag Jace. There's an argument to say we could attack them and it be better, but I don't think it really matters. I think an end step here, I'm going to sack Steve, make more zombies, and then probably play and activate Westwell Abbey. Yep, mill us for 10. Not the greatest mills, but we haven't even got to see our duress and see how well it works. So yeah, let's go ahead and sack this here because we can make one creature into two. Westvale Abbey. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is we're trading 5 damage for 9 damage. I think that's fair. Uh, Going to transform Westvale Abbey here. So let's go Titan here. So that's 6, 15 here. Lethal or kill Jace. Just in case. So they bolt our Primeval Titan. Should have done this earlier before it attacked. If they have, if they're just gonna double bolt the Titan, which would make the most sense. Did we get there? Opponent in the tank. And opponent concedes. We got there. 5-0. 5-0, guys. With our budget list. We definitely played against some decks that weren't the most tier, but I mean we played against some good archetypes in like the Mardu deck and some other things. And you know, we got to see the power level of this deck. Primeval Titan is a very strong card. Uh, and Field of the Dead is a very strong card. And this list, like I said, it is budget. This is what it's for. It's for you guys to get in and enjoy playing Modern, learn the format, see some things that maybe you like that you want to build into, or to just take and build up to the top tier level of whatever kind of Titan deck you want to build, whether it's Titan Field, Amulet Titan, uh, Scape Shift, anything like that. For this specific build, one of the things that I would say is probably the biggest things you need to do to make this list better, quick, is I think this Field of Ruin could fit this in the budget actually, but this Field of Ruin needs to be your third Field of the Dead. Having three Field of the Deads is nice because it can uh, give you more redundancy in drawing your Field of the Dead naturally, and also it allows you to have even more big splashy turns of making tons of zombies. Uh, Fetch lands. Fetch lands are important. Finding a place to put these fetch lands where you could cut, you know, a snow-covered forest and a forest, and maybe a couple of in like the desert package for fetch lands and some other utility lands that you might want. You might even want to keep something like If Near Deadlands, Hash Up Oasis. Like these aren't bad cards, but Desert of the Indomitable and Desert of the Glorified are pretty bad. Uh, Probably some of the worst lands in the deck. So it's would be great to change those, and then finding room for Cavern of Souls. So something like Arch of Araska was a replacement of Cavern of Souls, and maybe one of these lands here to replace for Cavern of Souls. Usually two caverns is correct in Titanfield builds. Uh, Cavern is a very expensive card, but it's very well worth it. Having Cavern allows you to just play your Cavern, kind of sandbag your Cavern, keep it back, and then whenever you draw it, you just play it, play Titan, win the game once you've resolved the Titan. Because resolving the Primeval Titan is the most important part. Once we get that and get Field of the Dead online, we usually cannot lose. Uh, or if we can, it's going to be a pretty tough fight either way. Grazers, Scouts, Explorers, Tracker, Search for Tomorrow, Fierce Empath, stuff like that, I think is all good. I think you probably want to trim your number of Fierce Empaths and your number of Hour of Promises, and maybe to 1 hour of Promise, and just two Fierce Empaths, and play four Summoner's Pact. I think that would be the next step there. Summoner's Pact is, I don't know if I have one. I do not. So yeah. So this is Summoner's Pact here. Summoner's Pact is 0 mana, search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you have to pay 2 green green. If you don't, you lose the game. Paying the 2 green green isn't really really that big of a deal. It's pretty easy for our deck. We have a ton of mana after we resolve a Titan, so you just go Summoner's Pact, go get your Primeval Titan. So this gives you now give you 4 of these and 2 Fierce Empaths and 1 hour of Promise left. So you have like a total of 7 pseudo Titans and 4 actual Titans. Uh, so it gives your deck a lot more consistency there. Sideboard wise, these duresses should probably be Thought Seizes most of the time. Uh, I like Memoricide and Cranial Extraction. I'm not sure about Cry of the Crinarium, but I think it's fine. Beast Within, Tireless Tracker, Abrupt Decay, Fatal Push, all those cards are great. So I think you want to keep them. Uh, I would probably make Eliminate into Abrupt Decays, and I would make these Abrupt Decays into Assassin's Trophies. So that's some easy upgrades you can make to the deck once you get it. But like I said, $150 in the Modern can do well. As you saw, we were pretty dominant, had a lot of people conceding pretty early to what we were doing, because we do just get so far ahead on board that if we can cast a Titan, the game's just over. Especially, and on top of that, we just put a ton of lands in play really quickly, so it is hard for some of our opponents to catch up if they are playing fair Magic. Uh, and we do have a pretty good plan for if our opponent is playing some unfair combo deck that is going to try and kill us before we can play Primeval Titan. So definitely think this deck is great. I would highly encourage you, if you're looking to get into Modern or enjoy Magic and have never really played Modern and want to try it out, but you don't want to break the bank. Try this deck. This deck is fun. You get to put out a ton of tokens, ton of lands. The only thing this deck doesn't do in mass amount, I would say, is probably draw cards. But if you count searching a library for 2 lands as drawing cards, well, then you do. Uh, but definitely try this out. Thank you guys for hanging out for our premiere episode of Breaking Budget. We'll be back every week with a new Breaking Budget episode, so please tune in. Let me know if you like this content. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitch at Search Easy to Great, or on Twitter at the same name, Search Easy to Great, just like it is right here, DAGR8. Please, 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 give this a chance. Try this deck. You won't be disappointed. And we'll be back with some more Breaking Budget. Thank you guys for hanging out. I enjoyed making this. See you next time. Stay cheesy.